Internet, good morning. My name is Magnitude and welcome to another Digimon ReArise guide video. This one is about Vritramon. Vritramon. Digimon that you get from the Valentine's Day February event by doing clash battles. You get enough medals and you can hatch an egg for them. And then you can go ahead and use Vritramon to your heart's content. It's very free-to-play friendly, and I'll be going over just some pros and cons, and we'll be watching it in PvP to see how it does. So these are kind of its stats, its abilities. He's got burn protection, which is nice. You can check out his attacks. Deals 310% damage to enemies. Obviously, with a higher level, that will do more damage. But Vritramon has some value, I think, if you don't have Alphamon, but I'll be listing each of those pros and cons once we get into the actual the PvP aspect of it. But as I said, Vritramon, very easy to attain for any player. If this is a guy that you like, if you were an Agunimon fan and Digimon Frontier, then you can go ahead and snag up Vritramon. So middle of the road. If you're a new player, I think Vritramon is going to be something that is going to excite you because with its plugins, it can get to some respectable defensive and bulk stats. But here's its model circling around. I don't know why it's got that, but either way. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of go on PvP and see what it does. We'll go ahead and get to the pros and the cons. The pros, it's got specific plugins. Any Digimon with a set of specific plugins has value somewhere, because those plugins essentially double what are already solid boosts. They take gold plugins, they make higher boosts, and you throw them on, and they're gonna give you a solid statistics to add to that Digimon. It's got a high defense, and I think a high defense with its one plugin, and I think I have a max gold defense. It's got like 1588, I believe was the number, and you combine that with an HP stat of the mid 6,000s, like 6,400, 6,500, depending on what's the other defensive plugin that you use, and you get to a solid defense. And I think the metagame is quickly shifting away from needing speed and utilizing speed and being quick to team to attack first, because there's many times where I go on PvP and I outspeed the other team, but they have an All-Force Vritramon, which of course cancels that completely out, and then he fires off a Ray of Victory, KOs two of my Mons, because generally in the place of Vritramon is Phoenixmon, who is the opposite of bulky. Phoenixmon and a wet piece of paper, they're in contention. They're in a head-to-head battle to see who could fall apart the quickest. So I think a high defense is something that you need going into this metagame, and if your options are Vritramon or maybe something a little way less bulky, but see, the problem with Phoenixmon over Vritramon is Phoenixmon has about 1,000 attack points more. So if Phoenixmon can, doesn't see, if I don't see an All-Force Vritramon, generally Phoenixmon is good to go. But if I see an All-Force Vritramon, yeah, if he can target it, that's it for him. He's done. He's finished. It's over. So the high defense, I think, is just something that's going to be useful, and a lot of people might want to utilize that if they have, if they're trying to just live attacks from All-Force Vritramon. Also, burn protection. So a lot of Digimon, as you saw before, he's got burn protection for the whole team for 3 turns. A lot of Digimon, they have their abilities that target specific types, so either brave or calm, or you get what I'm saying. Vritramon just says, nah, y'all get burn protection. Fire, don't worry about fire. I got you. And I think there's value in that. Especially given that a lot of Digimon right now, Boltmon is around. Obviously, I got Boltmon there. My boy, Phoenixmon on the other team. There he is. You'll see things like Phoenixmon, things like Boltmon. They'll be burning a lot of things. And Vritramon himself will be burning a lot of things. So the fact that you can protect yourself against burn, because being statist in PvP games is huge, actually. You get dealt a solid percentage of damage if you're burned or poisoned, so especially getting on things that are walls or more, high Andromon or Plesiomon. Burning those things is big, and if Vritramon can go ahead and just completely nullify that, I think there's a lot of value to that in a PvP arena. But so we talked about his pros. Let's talk about his cons a little bit. Low attack stat. I mentioned this with Phoenixmon. But since his attack-specific plugin is not that hard to get, you can just get it. Same thing with the Valentine's Day medals. He still meets about a 3,700 attack stat, and that's with another gold plugin that's maxed out as well. So his attack stat is not very high, given the fact that he has a lot of that he has a lot of better mons that could replace him. And attack stat just is. You're not going to be putting Vritramon as the final piece of an offensive team. It's never going to happen. You're never going to be like, oh man, I need some firepower. Vritramon? We had Vritramon? Because even his attacks only hit 2 enemies. Even at level 10, they're not doing nearly the percentage that you like them to do for them only hitting 2 or 1 enemy or something like that. So Vritramon doesn't really have the ability to break holes through anything. He can burn people, which is nice, but especially with the mon Vritramon, if the enemy's got one or you have mons with burn protection, they're, that's you're not really going to be seeing a lot of use out of that. And then only self buffs. So he can only buff himself. He cannot help out other team members with his attacks. So he's like, he can boost his own attack or he can burn things, but he can't actually, he can't assist any other Digimon. See, that's like where WarGrowlmon kind of comes into play. What I like WarGrowlmon, he's got one of his moves where he boosts defense of Brave Digimon, and his passive skill is it allows him to increase the HP of a Brave Digimon by 20% at the start of the game. So right there, see WarGrowlmon is helping out other members of the team, where Vritramon, minus the burn protection, can't buff an ally at all, can't help any. So Vritramon is just going to be doing things in the game. Once the burn protection hits, Vritramon is all about Vritramon, right? He's very self-centered. He's only going to help himself, going to boost his attack, because both of his attacks can only boost his attack stat. And then finally, he's like Alphamon minus. So that's a con, because if you have Alphamon, you probably you really shouldn't run Vritramon. I'm doing it only because I want to still try to win some of these games, and Alphamon is just so good. But it's essentially Alphamon minus. Minus this, because he does essentially the same stuff that Alphamon does with attacks-wise. His attacks boost himself. He's got a fat, bulky, defensive presence. But other than that, he doesn't do anything. To help the team, like I was saying before, Alphamon can inflict skill lock, as the opposing Alphamon did to me, right there. He can inflict skill lock, which definitely helps out a team. But if all Vritramon can do is burn and boost his own attack stat, we're getting into a metagame now where that's not going to be enough. And it's nice if you're just starting out the game, especially having a mon with that high attack stat. But Vritramon, I think its value is in, right now, just being another kind of bulk machine. Being another sponge that can take a hit from an All-Force Vritramon. Because if you can live a hit from an All-Force Vritramon, the initial hit, generally you can take out that All-Force Vritramon and it won't have to hurt. It won't hurt you again. Don't worry about that. So Vritramon looks awesome, right? It looks awesome. Has some use. Definitely does. With that defense, definitely has some use. But especially if you have Alphamon, I think Vritramon is just a hard pass in the meta. But if you're just starting out and it's something that you want to use because it's a free mon and it's got some plugins you can use and you can just throw it on your team, then that's fine. You don't have Alphamon and you want to replicate what Alphamon can do for some reason, that's a desire of yours, Vritramon. But other than that, Vritramon is not going to be the crux of any team. It'll be a supporting piece, like I said, if you're doing some defensive stuff. Other than that, you won't be seeing too much. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a like if you did, subscribe for more, and I'll see each and every one of you next time. Good night.